the next 20 to 30 years. And I think that our keynote speaker, Dr. Rose, did an awesome job of this. And some of the themes I'll be talking about kind of interconnect very well with the talk that he presented. Sorry, is a bit good. So first off, I want to talk a bit about the history of technology, and so how we've gone here. Throughout the 1940s, we kind of built these first room-sized computers, and these are these massive computers kind of built in Bletchley Park to solve any kind of cryptographic codes, and these primarily dealt with these mathematical computations. And then in the 1970s, we had companies like IBM that really proliferated the household PC. And finally, nowadays, we carry around these super powerful computers in our pockets. And these are more than 1,000 times more powerful and also more than 1,000 times smaller than many of these computers from the 1940s. And so throughout this evolution, what really has changed? What are the trends that we've seen? What have we learned? And how is technology evolving? And so the first trend I want to talk about is the shift from structured. And so what do I really mean by this? Back when we were interacting with computers using punch cards, we really entered in kind of things using bits and bytes. So ones and zeros, we entered in a very well-defined set of input. For example, you're giving a computer 5 or 6 numbers, and you want it to spit out a single number, whether it's the result of some computation. But now we're giving computers this very unstructured data. It's very ambiguous. And I think one of the prime examples of this is a thing like Google search. I give it this English sentence, which is a very hard language to understand for a computer, and then I expect it to extract the meaning from this sentence and be able to give me the relevant results for my use case. And when you think about it, this is a very amazing kind of task that's accomplishing. And this past summer, I was an intern on the Google search team, and I got to work with the Knowledge Graph, which is kind of Google's representation of the world's data. And it was very cool to see kind of all the techniques that they're applying to try and scrape the organic web, to try and convert all this unstructured data to a data that has semantic and structural meaning. And one of the technologies that we see here that's mainly associated with this is kind of AI or machine learning. And at its core, I think what AI tries to do is to understand the world around us in many ways similar to how we use our 5 senses as humans to perceive the world and try to extract any kind of insights. And I think that there's going to be a lot of progress to be still made here with kind of the stuff that Dr. Rose was talking about in terms of creating robots or any sort of other kind of leaps that we're making in this field. However, of course, there's a lot of ethical issues to tackle as well with this trend. The next trend I wanted to touch on was this evolution of interfaces. And so this is really kind of how we've interacted with technology. I think that this has really changed dramatically in the last 64 years. And we've gone from things like punch cards, where we have just typing in ones and zeros, to the command line, where we have textual interfaces. And now what we use daily is these graphical user interfaces, where you have menus and buttons that you interact with. And slowly what we're moving towards is perceptual user interfaces, which is just kind of a fancy term to describe things where you have multimodal interactions with things like gesture recognition, speech recognition, eye tracking, biometrics, and all sorts of other cool things. And I think that two specific technologies I'm really excited about here are kind of virtual reality and augmented reality. And the picture on the right is a product that I worked on in 2018 called Focals, which is built by a Canadian startup named North. And this is a product that really aimed to integrate into your life and provide this extra layer of like a heads-up display, similar to Jarvis from Iron Man, where you're able to kind of get directions for GPS or anything else that you want to do contextually as you're completing your tasks. And I think that VR as well is going to be especially important with COVID-19, just trying to interact with other humans and looking into whether we can build kind of virtual spaces where we're able to interact when we need to be physically distanced. And the last trend I want to touch on was this shift from technology being in the foreground of our lives to the background of our lives. And so what I mean by this is right now, normally when I want to either search something up or access some website, I either pull out my phone or pull out my laptop and do whatever it is I need to do. But I think in the future, what we're going to see is technology just kind of permeates through our life, and it's very much in the background. And it just kind of intelligently sets off this domino of tasks or events based on whatever triggers we've defined. And a concept that really ties in here is this concept of universal computing, or the Internet of Things, where all these pieces of technology are interacting with each other without having any human interaction. And so, for example, I leave my house and the thermostat turns the temperature down, all the lights turn off, and everything else just kind of happens automatically. And there's no really human interaction needed. Or I have a flight coming up, and Gmail or whatever else just notifies me of that flight, gives me the relevant details, gives me a ticket before I ask for it. And this kind of extends beyond the smart home concept into things like wearables and all sorts of things that we expect in the future. And then the last topic I want to touch on was the impact of technology. I think that technology is, at the end of the day, it's a tool that can be used for good or evil. And nowadays in the news, especially with things like the 2020 election, we see that technology can have really harmful impacts with things such as misinformation, the impact on security and privacy of data, the impact on our mental health with social media networks. And so I think it's really up to us as the leaders of tomorrow. I'm sure that many of us will be very influential in shaping the direction of technology. And hopefully, I'm a very optimistic person, but hopefully we can make it a force for good in the next 30 to 40 years. And that's it. Thanks for listening. And I'm not sure if we have any time for questions, but I can also leave that for later.